Good afternoon, everybody. Welcome to this webinar on the AI Maturity Framework. My name's Andy Williamson. I'm Senior Researcher in the Centre for Innovation in Parliament, and it's my pleasure to host this afternoon's webinar. Our plan for this afternoon is for me to give you a brief run through of what the maturity framework looks like and why we've developed it. And then I'm going to introduce two colleagues, Manuel Pereira from the Senate of Spain, who's going to talk about the practical application of the maturity framework from their experience, and Marieke van Santen from the Senate of the Netherlands, who's going to reflect on Manuel's experience and talk about how the Senate of the Netherlands is interested in using the framework as well for their strategic adoption of AI. Once we've done the presentations, there'll be time for questions. So if you do have a question, something comes into your mind as you're listening, pop it in the chat and we'll collate that and we'll come back to it so that we've got them all in one place and we can try and get as many questions in as possible. This is one of our Transforming Parliaments webinars. So what we're going to do is post a link to all of our webinars, past and future, in the chat for you. The past webinars are all available on our YouTube channel, and we'll give you a link to those and some notes on them. And also it's a reminder that on the 1st of April, we've a Transforming Parliaments webinar on AI literacy coming up. So you can sign up for that now. Today's webinar is in English primarily, but there is interpretation in French, Spanish, and Arabic. If you look down to the options on your Zoom window, you can select the appropriate language that you want for that. So please do that. And also, can I suggest that if you're interested in the other work that we're doing in the IPU around AI, you have a look at our webpage on AI, which includes links to the guidelines for AI and also the case studies. So what I'll do now is just start with a quick introduction to let you know what exactly the maturity framework is and why it matters for Parliament. So I'm going to, I was going to share my screen. It's now giving me, there we go. It was giving me a different option. Expect. There we go. That's better.
Yeah, I can hear.
So what is the maturity framework? Well, we've developed the framework because we see parliaments facing a unique challenge when adopting any kind of transformative technology, but particularly around AI, because you kind of have a dual role. You have to think about the regulation of AI and the policy that goes with it, but also how is it used internally within the institution, and how is it used in a way that doesn't just safeguard democratic values, but enhances them. And it's a new emerging area. There's a lot of truth, there's a lot of hype, there's a lot of confusion. So we wanted to come up with something that built on the AI guidelines. The guidelines tell you what to do, but what we want is a way of saying, how do you do it? How do you actually approach AI? And how do you figure out where you are on the journey, which is actually, as we'll see through the presentation, really important. So the framework is the first comprehensive Parliament-specific tool for navigating AI transformation. I think that's really important. This is developed by Centre for Innovation in Parliament with help from experts and parliamentary staff. It is absolutely 100% parliamentary focused. So while a lot of generic AI material can guide you on some of the broader principles, this is very much focused on AI adoption in Parliament. And it's really important to stress that this framework is not prescriptive. It does not say you must do things. It offers a flexible diagnostic approach. And we want you to treat this as both a mapping tool and a planning tool. It's something to help you establish where you are and guide you to where you want to be. It is not going to tell you you must do things. So how do we achieve that? So what we tried to do with the framework is give you a common language that lets you discuss your AI readiness and your AI ambitions across the institution. And this is really important because AI is a transformative tool. It involves the highest levels of Parliament, from Secretary General and speakers right down through Parliament. It's not a technology issue alone. So we need to be able to have a conversation in the same language with business leaders, senior management, members, and technical staff. And the framework gives you the vocabulary to do that. It gives you the strategic clarity. Where do you invest your resources for maximum impact? Where are the biggest risks? Where are the biggest opportunities? It helps you identify the landscape that you're in and understand where to target your approach to AI. And it supports you to create an evidence base so that you can properly scope out projects and define budgets and make senior management decisions that will effectively ripple through the levels of Parliament, that lets you use the tools most effectively. We know when it comes to AI, there are significant risks and challenges, and the framework recognizes that and builds on the work that we've done with the AI guidelines, looking at risk mitigation through structured progression. So it cautions you to not rush into doing things, but to plan and manage that relationship that you've got with AI in a confident and comfortable way. What it also lets you do, though, is change that risk envelope. So it creates an environment of understanding, a knowledge within the institution where you can rescope what is an acceptable risk and look at how you approach AI from an iterative, piloted point of view. So not rushing into production systems, but take small steps through gathering evidence to see how pilots are effective or not, learn from those, and start operationalizing them with a different consideration of the risks. And all of this is great, but you need to know where you are. So the framework is also about benchmarking your capacity. Where are you? How are you doing with your AI? How does it relate to other parliaments? We found with all of the technology issues, but even more so with AI, being able to talk to your peers in other parliaments is absolutely vital because it's such an emerging area with so much information, almost too much information. So being able to compare your state with another parliament situation builds on our work with the Digital Maturity Index, looking at the overall digital maturity of parliaments. And we're seeing this in the AI context of using the framework to be able to benchmark your situation and talk to others about how they're solving their problems. So we do this by developing the framework across 4 development areas, and I won't go into them in detail. They're all outlined in the Maturity Framework document that you can download from the IPU website. But the development areas are briefly governance. So how do you manage the overall risk, oversight, ethics, application of AI? Your technical capability. What's the infrastructure? What are the systems that you need? How do you manage security in an AI world? And most importantly, how do you get your data ready for AI so that what you're implementing is high quality and reliable? Your organizational capability. What are the roles for leadership, staff? What skills and training do you need? What's the culture of the organization and how does it need to adapt and adopt AI? Our next webinar coming up in April is on AI literacy. And I think this is one of the big points that we see with the introduction of AI, that it requires a new level of literacy going beyond information literacy to understand what the AI world looks like. How do you use it effectively, and how do you assess whether it is being accurate and reliable? And the 4th dimension, the 4th development area, is specific for parliaments, which is democratic impact. And this is really important. We want to know what effect your use of AI is having on parliamentary function, on citizen engagement, on transparency and accountability. So we ask you to look at yourselves across those four areas, and then assess yourself for each of those against a level of maturity. And again, I'm not going to go into great detail of these now, but we'll touch on them throughout the webinar. Level 0 is you have no formal governance, you have no strategy for AI. Yes, there are some AI tools being used, but it's very much shadow AI. It's very much just being used in the corners of the offices by people who are the early adopters. You know, that 10% of your workforce or members who see some benefits, but there's no controls. And as you can see, those levels step up. So an emerging awareness of the need for rules, um, stepping through to having pilot projects and capacity building, building initial governance, and then more systemic deployment, more established practices at level 3 and implementation. Level 4, you're starting to embed AI across parliamentary functions at an operational level. And level 5, advanced practice, global standard setting. You're part of the process of creating a standard for AI in parliaments. You know, right now, no one is really operating at level 5 across all the levels. It's just not possible. No one's at level 4. I don't believe. I'd be very surprised. I'm expecting when we ask you to evaluate yourself in a moment, you'll be somewhere between 0 and 2, because that's where we're seeing even the development. The most developed parliaments are really only at about level 2, touching onto level 3. We're in the very early stages of implementing AI. So how do you use the framework? Assess where you are, use that assessment to plan where you want to go, and monitor progress and communicate to the stakeholders inside and outside your parliament. So use the framework to see what the points of growth and the opportunities are and build your plans around that. And finally, how can you use the framework? How do you go about doing this? Well, download it, conduct a self-assessment, identify your priorities. Don't try and do everything at once. Do the things you see you've got the resources and the skills and the data in place to do. And also, I really recommend joining our conversation at Centre of Innovation in Parliament and through the Parliamentary Data Science Hub, because you can share your knowledge and you can ask questions and learn from others. So collaboration really is the key here. And I'm going to come out of my slide, hopefully. Yes, there we go. And what I'm going to do now is ask all of you in the audience to reflect on what I've just shown you with the maturity framework and do a little self-assessment. So I'm going to ask one of my colleagues to run an online poll for you, which should pop up any second now. And what I'd like you to do is have a look through that poll. And apologies that it's only in English, but I'll go through it. So choose the level you're at. 0, AI is used informally by a few individuals. 1, there's a basic awareness on AI, but not really much happening. 2, pilot projects, capacity building, governance building. 3, systemic deployment, established governance. 4, AI is embedded. And 5, advanced practice. You're a global leader. And that's right across the institution. So getting a good response there. We're at about halfway. So I'm going to give you a couple of minutes to do this. So just think about those levels. Try and answer this really honestly and think about the overall institution. Very interesting seeing where people are at the moment. The majority of you are sitting around levels 1 and 2. Quite a number sitting at level 0. 2 of you at level 5. I'm curious who you are. Doesn't tell me that. Okay, so I'm going to run this for about another 20 seconds or so. I think we're starting to slow down on responses. We've got 103, 107 answers. So last chance if you can fill that in, and then I'll get my colleagues to stop the survey in about 10 seconds from now. There we go. Oh, we're done. Okay, so interesting. I can see the answers on this. I'm going to ignore the fact it's 109 and pretend these are about percentages. So, about 32, 32, 35, 36, about the same number of people at level 0, level 1, and level 2, which is about what we'd expected to see. And then there's some very small numbers, 3, 4, and 5, but we're really seeing a third of you at level 0, a third of you at level 1, and a third of you at level 2, which is probably what we expected. It's an interesting admission when you say that I did this little survey with a parliament recently, and they talked about the tools they were using and what they were doing with AI. And I said, okay, reflect on this. And they stopped and went, oh, we're at level 0, because all they were doing was using commercial off-the-shelf tools, and they had no governance and no rules around how they were being used. And they said, we need to stop and start putting some things in place, don't we? And they automatically move up a level by starting to put those things in place, because they start thinking systemically about the value of AI to the institution. So what I would like to do now, if I can remove that from the screen in front of me, there we go. What I'd like to do now is look at the practical application of the framework. It's all well and good me talking about what it does and the theory of it, but I'm going to ask Manuel Pereira from the Senate of Spain to talk about their experience of actually using the framework. Manuel, over to you.
Thank you, Andy. Thanks a lot. Thanks for inviting me to share our experience. I'm gonna share some slides here, prepare. So I'm speaking to you about 4 things. The first thing is where we are in the AI journey, where in the Senate of Spain, what have we done and what we are doing. Just in case it can inspire you, and how can the maturity framework help us in general for us. We have been given this framework, and we have used it in the Senate of Spain. And the third point is our maturity level according this framework, starting from an initial evaluation, and in the end some conclusions that we are achieved, arrived, trying to apply this framework. So let's go with the first point, where we are in this journey of AI. Everybody's in the journey. ChatGPT arrive and crash all the break all the things, move the place. And what have we been done until now? What are we doing, and what will we do in the future? So what have we already done? We have developed our internal AI guidelines. They are pending approval. Maybe, hopefully, next week, our board in the Senate of Spain, we will approve our guidelines. Of course, inspired by IPU guidelines that they are very useful too. I recommend to read them if you haven't. In the maturity framework, Andy, I don't know if Andy mentioned it. In the end of the framework, there is a matrix that matches the framework levels with the guidelines. So it's a tool. It's very useful for applying the guidelines using the framework. They are very interconnected. Yes. What have we already done? Also, we have established a contractual framework to develop AI projects. I don't know in your countries, but here in Spain it's very difficult and takes a long time to contract to make a public tender and to assign to a developer or a partner to do some things. Maybe here it takes us sometimes takes us more than 1 year, no? to start developing one project. So we make contractual framework, establish a framework with our developer just to be fast when we have an idea and we want to take it, make it done. It's going to be fast right now because we have already selected a partner and just we say, okay, I will pay you for this, and it's in 2 weeks you can start doing it. Another thing we have done is decide, this was a decision, a strong decision for us and very difficult, where we are going to execute our AI projects, because we were evaluating some cloud providers, starting to test their capabilities, and in the end, because all security reasons, the most important reason for security reasons, we decided to execute them on premise, so in our own servers. And last year we acquired some hardware, some GPUs and machines from NVIDIA just to run our AI projects. Yes, and also we developed some successful projects. In 2020, before ChatGPT, we started automating our transcription of parliamentary sessions. And last year, we bought some licenses for legal assistance using AI integrated in legislative databases. VLEX is a great tool for us and for our legal people. So what are we doing? Right now, we are starting to implement the actions indicated in the guidelines that will be approved next week. For example, providing training to staff MPs, also reserving some budget for the acquisition of AI licenses. We are evaluating some providers of general AI products, LLMs. We have reserved some budget for acquisition. We don't know yet which provider will be, maybe Microsoft Copilot or ChatGPT or Gemini or Notebook-LM. We are evaluating it. And we are also preparing the inventory of our computer systems that use AI because we have to publish it in our transparency portal according to guidelines. Yes. Also, we are modifying our contractual information because we have to include some AI clauses for specific AI contracts. And also stabilizing AI usage indicators to monitor and to measure how many people in the chamber is using AI and what are the main uses it is being used. Then, and also we are stabilizing notification and registration for channels for incidents related to AI. This is risk management. Yeah. And what more are we doing? We are defining a disciplinary regime for non-compliance with AI guidelines, also related to detecting illegal uses of AI inside the chamber, also monitoring the energy consumption and carbon footprint, just for sustainability. And we are developing several AI-based projects. Here I put some of them. We are indexing automatically based on Eurovoc Thesaurus, live subtitling of videos of the parliamentary sessions, plenary sessions, and also commissions, and training new speak-to-text transcription engine, and evaluating AI-assisted computing program coding tools. Our IT people is very happy with this because there have been very high advances in automatic computer programming using these tools, and the productivity is being increased a lot. So we are evaluating these tools. Okay, and what will we do? What projects are planned for 2026 and beyond? We want to integrate AI in multiple of our internal processes. For example, work with documentation, with Notebook-LM or similar, legal help, also information retrieval, analytics, software development, etc. Yeah, we have also launched a project to incorporate a RAG, retrieval augmented generation, in our website of the Senate of Spain that allows users to search in natural language. Yeah. And also some other projects, automatic classification, tagging of contents using face and voice recognition, AI for analytics, and etc. All that stuff. Okay, so the second part of the presentation is how can the maturity framework help us, help all of us, not only the Senate, how to use the framework. The obvious thing is Andy mentioned is how can the framework help us? Okay, it can helps us know where we are, identify where we are, and when we want to go. Yeah, evaluate where we are and we the path where we want to go, and also define a roadmap, no, to achieve it. This is obvious, no? It's a framework, and this is made for this. But there are several things that are not so obvious, but it can help us a lot. The first thing is help ask ourselves the right questions. Yeah, if you see the framework, there's a place where are some questions very interesting about the 4 areas it is divided. Yeah. About governance, some questions very interesting, as I say, when you look detailly to the framework, about technical capability, organizational capability, and democratic impact. If you ask yourself the right question, you will have good answers. No, another not so obvious thing is the framework can help you to reinforce the idea that this is not an IT project. This is very important, not only for AI, just for any digital transformation project in an organization. You know, some also in the top management of the parliaments and of the organizations, they usually think this is a matter of IT, no, this is technological thing. No, a digital transformation. In concrete, AI transformation and AI incorporation in the organization is cultural change, also process change, and it's a change of the organization. The technology is just I think always say it's just an excuse, no? It's just a tool, but it's not IT project, and all the organization must be involved on it, no? And the framework can convince management of this also. And 3 other not so obvious things. I think the first one is the framework can help you identify the things that you are doing well and your main gaps where, oh, here we are not so high, no, we need to improve this in this area. Also, together with the IPU guidelines and sample use cases in the IPU side, it can help you evangelize and drive decision making to promote the use of AI in your chamber. That's an important thing also, to convince the people to gain people to add people to the project. And also it can help you to understand that we are not alone. There is more than 180 people here listening this webinar, so it's a very interesting thing that all the chambers are in the same way, and all the organizations worldwide. Yeah, we all are transforming to put AI in our journey, because it's very disruptive. No. So the third point of my presentation is okay, here we have the framework. We are the Senate of Spain, and we want to apply it. So let's try to evaluate our maturity level according to the framework. This has been very useful for us, because we have identified our strengths, but also our gaps. No. For example, in the first area, that is governance. Oh, okay, I have just 1 minute more. Governance, we identified that we are here. Also in level 1, starting to go to level 2, but yeah, we are early stage of governance. Yes, because we have a lot of gaps in here. We need to mature in risk management and other things. But we are also, some strengths of us are here written. In the second area is technical capability. We are the Senate. We are here. We are. I think we are okay, or very high level for compared to governance, because maybe this project started on IT. I am the IT director of Senate of Spain, and I am with my team. We are the ones who are pushing the project and trying to put it in the road. Yeah. Also, the third area, that is organization capability. We are in the level 2, yeah, trying to between level 2, level 1, level 3, some in some areas depending on the subject, but we are there. And also in democratic impact, we are just between level 1, trying to arrive to level 2, but not there, not there yet. But I hope will be soon, because we are going to approve our guidelines, as I told you, next week, and this will push the project, and it will be, I think, will be faster in the next steps. So where we are here. We are here in governance, here in technical capability, organizational capability, and democratic impact. This, as I said, very, very useful for us to know, and we have defined where will be the next things we are going to do. In the beginning, we are going to push this down, because we are not so mature as we will like. Yeah. So some conclusions, and I finish. Sorry, Andy, for the delay. First conclusions in here in our chamber in the Senate. Our conclusions: the maturity level, the maturity framework, as I said, has helped us identify things that we had not taken into account in our guidelines. For example, risk management, we are weak in this, and define measurable indicators. We haven't done that yet. And also we have different levels of maturity in different areas. Yes, because we are ahead in technology, as I told you, because the initial promotion for the projects has come from us, from IT, and also we have to advance in governance and democratic impact. So those are conclusions here in my chamber. But some conclusions in general. The first one is, if you are not already embarking on the AI journey, you are late. We all know this. We have to convince top management of our chambers of this. The second one is, there is no magic solution for everyone. You have to adapt, to customize the framework, the maturity framework, to the concrete circumstances of your parliament. Yes, depending on your maturity level and your circumstances can change. The framework you have to adapt. The third one is, maturity framework can help you not only to execute, but also to convince and align the organization and convince the top management. And the last one, remember, this is the most important thing. This is not an IT project. No, this is a digital transformation project that involves all your organization, involves a process change, cultural change, and its technology. It's nothing but a tool or an excuse to transform the organization. So that's all. Thanks a lot. You can write me if you have some questions. Andy, finish.
Thank you, Manuel. That was excellent. What a brilliant presentation. I hope everyone in the audience got as much out of that as I did. That was really, really helpful. And I think there are three things that I pick up on that are really important. One is that not only are parliaments at different levels, but within Parliament, you will be at different levels within those development areas. There's no static line. And I think what Manuel drew there was a map that looked quite familiar, where the technology is running ahead of the governance and the other development areas. We see that with most parliaments. It's very familiar, and the trick is to catch up ultimately. Second key point in there is the idea of the maturity framework is to help you get past the assumptions or the things you haven't thought of. It's to challenge you with some questions and get you thinking about the situation that you're in. And the third one is that, as we said with the guidelines, the maturity framework, and I mentioned this up front, is not intended to be something that's prescriptive. It's for you to adopt and adapt to your own needs. So with that in mind, I'm going to ask Marieke van Santen from the Senate of the Netherlands to just give a very brief perspective on what Manuel said and how that fits in with the view in the Netherlands. Marieke.
Yeah, thank you, Andy, and thank you so much, Manuel. I had your presentation beforehand, so I had some time to look into it, and I was really impressed with what you already have done and what you are planning to do. But also, I think how you use the framework to map the things you are doing to the progress in this framework. I think that the presentation clearly showed that, and this is something that can help us as well in our journey. Maybe short where we are. We have conducted some projects, mostly standalone. We have an AI strategy. We did a pilot. We have some guidelines. We have some tools running already, and now we have established a small team consisting not only of IT persons but also organizational people and people from our Committee on Digital Affairs. I think that committee shows that at the Dutch Senate we are quite ahead with thinking that AI or digital transformation is not a technical thing. And we are creating a project plan for the coming 2 years. And by diving into the framework, I came to the same conclusions that we saw in the presentation, that it helps us identify the steps we have taken, the steps we want to take, determine the level of maturity, or in our case, we are also trying to plot the maturity of our sister organization on a graph, because we want to start working together. We want to start partnerships. We are small Senate. I think that although we might be different organizations, Spanish Senate and Dutch in size or in culture, we both go through the same process. The process can be similar for every parliament, but the way it is shaped, where you start, where you want to go, which projects fit your organization, that can differ greatly from one organization to another. And again, I think the framework can really help you with that. See what is important for you. What the framework made me aware of is that we tend to focus on the things we haven't done yet instead of the things we already have done. And so by diving into all the characteristics of the different levels, it's not so bad as we thought beforehand. And for instance, the level 5, the leadership, I don't think we will reach that level, although some activities in level 5, like for instance, contribute to research, I think we can do that. We are already doing that with one of my colleagues doing a PhD research. So yeah, the presentation was very clear, very interesting, but it also showed me, okay, yeah, we are sort of the same, although we are also very different. So I think it will be a brilliant tool for many parliaments. I think that's it for now.
Thank you, Marieke. That's great. I think that's a really nice reflection. There's something that really struck me there is, Marieke, when you were talking about how you would reach level 5. What I think is an interesting thing is you do reach level 5 because the Senate of the Netherlands is contributing to the standards. I think for a parliament to say it's at level 5, it has to have gone through the 1 to 4 as well. And it becomes the icing on the cake, or the birthday candles, if you like. But actually, what's really nice about this process is the number of parliaments that have contributed and are contributing to the development of the guidelines, to the framework, to offering us use cases and getting involved in collaboratively developing the future of AI in parliaments. I'm going to go to some questions now, so I may come back to you, Marieke, and Manuel, I may ask you to answer if they're more specific. I've got one person with their hand up, so I'm going to ask them if they can ask their question now. Susan Thembequato, if you could keep it very brief, please, that would be great. So over to you. Thank you. And if you could introduce yourself.
Thank you, sir. It's Dr. Susan Thembequato from the Parliament of South Africa. I just want to find out that there were presentations that were made here. How will we be able to access the presentations? And secondly, to ask further to say, is there going to be a continuation of the presentations that are going to take place regarding the IA so that we are able to understand and follow and implement the information within our country? Thank you.
Yeah, that's a great question. The presentations will be available on the IPU's event page and also on our Transforming Parliaments webpage. And the video of this will be on the Transforming Parliaments webpage and our YouTube channel. So you will be able to access all of those things at some point. Now, we've got a couple of people with hands up, so I'm going to go along the list rather than go to the questions I've got in the chat, but I'll try not to ignore all of those as well. Nimesh Kumar, you have your hand up. Can you introduce yourself? And you have the floor. And you're muted, Nimesh. You're still muted.
Hello, am I audible?
You're
Okay, thank
good
you.
now.
Thank you for giving me this opportunity. I am Nimesh Kumar. I am the founder of International Parliament Journal, IPJ. And my question to both of the honorable member of parliament or the senator from the Senate of Spain and Netherlands and US. We are talking on this particular topic since last 2-3 years. It's IPU, CPA, Parlamerica, Par Latino, even Arab with the Arabian Parliament, European Parliament also. There are two concerns which came out. One is the training of the officials, because every parliament is facing the expertise crunch to adopt this high-end technology. And second, which is more of a political things, which all the honorable senators and all member of parliaments are very much worried about, is the opposition's media and the common man started getting this narrative or perception that these tools are not safe. The data safety and the parliament, because parliament is the highest body, so data safety and all this particular concern, everybody, every government, every parliament administration, we are talking when we write our reports, they have this concerns. So how we can fight these things? Thank you very much. Have a good day.
Very good questions, Nimesh. The short answer to this is that you have the governance processes and guidelines in place to ensure that what you're doing is safe and that you understand the risks involved in using AI, and it's about transparency as well. It's very, very important for the Parliament to be transparent. And Manuel, do you want to just answer that very quickly about how you're addressing that safety and trust issue?
Yes, we have a problem with safety right now because we know people is using AI. Is using AI, and we haven't bought some private licenses right now. So maybe they are putting public documents in AI, no problem. But also, we know some people, some staff and some MPs are putting private content in the LLMs and those tools. And they don't even know that they are, if you put the information in these tools and you have not bought a license, you are letting them to train their engines, their LLMs with your data. So yes, what we have done is two ways. No, the first way is training MPs, training staff, and putting the eye on security. You cannot put private information from the chamber in the general AI models. You have to use the private ones that the Senate owns. And the second way is buying licenses for the staff, because if you don't have licenses of ChatGPT, of Gemini, of NotebookLM, etc., you provide to your users, they will use their own, or worse, they can use the public ones, and they are putting private data. So that's our experience.
Yeah, so it really comes back to strong management and having the guidance in place. And one of the challenges that we see, not just with parliaments, with lots of public bodies, is the informal use of AI has rapidly overtaken the regulation of it and the governance of it within institutions. So it's something where we're playing catch up all the time, but it's something you need to do. Understand the risk envelope and what tools are safe and not safe. While I've got the floor, I'm going to answer a couple of very quick questions that I can do quickly from the chat. One is, would I find basic guidelines and development areas in the IPU website? Yes, go to the link that we've posted for our AI resources and you'll find links to all of that there. There's a question from Kenya about we would wish to tweak the framework to suit some local nuances of digital tech adoption and to deploy it on a survey platform. What's the guidelines for doing this? The guideline for doing that is do it. Go ahead. If you're not sure about something, have a chat with us. We can give you a bit of advice, but please use it. And I think, as I've said a couple of times in the presentation, adopting and adapting is critical. Don't take what we've written as it will work as something for you. You can adapt it to your own needs, and that's really important to do that. Question down there: how do you decide which AI tool is first, second, etc.? What are the priorities? What's the process of decision making? Good question, and almost impossible to answer. And I see Manuel smiling at that one because I don't know. This is why you need the framework and you need to understand where you are. But Manuel, how do you decide your priorities?
We are still evaluating, but we are monitoring the network, and we know people is using tools. So we know which tools is people using. So we know which one will help them more. Yeah. So also monitoring and then evaluating. I would recommend, if you don't know, some tools like NotebookLM is very, very useful for document management and working with documents, because the risk of hallucination is much less than other LLMs, because you can see the source. You can go to the source and see where the AI take that conclusion. So monitoring, asking people, maybe some service, and intuition also.
And I'm reminded of one parliament that I won't name, who basically went from saying, okay, we can't do any of this, to saying, well, there's too much of it happening and we're not controlling it. So do anything you like for 6 months and then we're going to evaluate it and see what worked. It's a fairly radical approach, but it's one approach. Now, I've got a few hands up, so I'm going to go along the line that I've got in front of me. So I've got a hand up from the Parliament of Algeria. If you would like to go next, Algeria.
شكرا، السلام عليكم. أولا نشكركم على هذا الاجتماع اللي وصلتوا به للهدف نتاعكم في تقديم المساعدات لنا، وإحنا متشوقون يعني للندوة المقبلة حول قراءة الذكاء الاصطناعي لما فيها من الأهمية. أنا سؤالي: هل ممكن تكون هناك شراكات بين البرلمانات فيما يخص التطبيقات الموجودة عند كل برلمان لتخفيض ميزانية الاستعمال الذكاء الاصطناعي، خاصة إذا كان هناك برلمانات عندها برامج خاصة بها. خليني نعطيكم عرض بالنسبة لما تقدمنا فيه نحن في الجزائر. مثلا احنا كما قامت إسبانيا يعني من خلال عرضكم في تعاقد مع شركاء، نحن أيضا بادرنا كمجلس شعبي وطني في إرساء إطار شراكة مع مركز البحث في الإعلام العلمي والتقني التابع لوزارة التعليم العالي، وراح يكون عندنا تطبيق ذكاء اصطناعي يقوم بتحويل النصوص وتدخلات النواب إلى مكتوبة، وراح يكون يعني نقدر في إطار الشراكة مع البرلمانات الأخرى في تبادل التطبيقات حتى نقصوا الميزانية. احنا اليوم كبرلمانات عندنا تخوفات كبيرة فيما يخص الأمن، لأنه العمل البرلماني الكثير منه فيه سرية وغيرها، لهذا نبحث عن تطبيقات لا على اشتراكات، يعني ربما التراخيص أو غيرها أولا لا توفي بالغرض، لأنه احنا السنة المقبلة كانت عندنا تجربة مع تطبيق لا أسميه أجنبي، يعني يقع في تحويل النص هناك خلل، لأنه عندنا لغات محلية وغيرها، يعني حتى التحويل إلى النص تكون فيه صعوبة. لهذا يجب أن نشجع البرمجة الذاتية، يعني حسب خصوصية البرلمانات. ضف إلى ذلك احنا مثلا البنية في المجلس الشعبي الوطني بفضل رئيس المجلس الشعبي الوطني، يعني قمنا بالكثير من الخطوات على خيارات مثلا عصرنة مختلف منظمات الأنظمة الافتراضية، الشبكات المعلوماتية، إلى جانب أنه البرلمان الجزائري يعني عنده مركز بيانات من الجيل الجديد خاص به. هذا ما يشجع ربما سرية المعلومات تاعنا، وحتى ربما نقدر نتعامل مع الذكاء الاصطناعي بكل أمان فيما يخص مثلا التعامل مع الاجتماعات وكل مسار القوانين. لهذا احنا اليوم نبحث من برلمانات أخرى تساعدنا، لأنه نريد أن نرقمن اصطناعيا. عندنا مثلا اشكالات تتطلب الذكاء الاصطناعي، مثلا في تحضير القوانين التقريرات التمهيديه والتقريرات التكميليه دائما تكون على استعجال، يعني الجانب البشري يصعب عليه، يعني نسهر حتى الثالثه والرابعه صباحا بأن نوجد تلك التقارير. اذا كان هناك امكانيه لشراكه، احنا الان في الجزائر بصدد انشاء تطبيق في الذكاء الاصطناعي يخص تحويل الصوت الى رقمنه، نقدر نتبادلوا مع برلمانات اخرى. لما لا اسبانيا اللي هي الان تتعاقد مع شركاء اجنبيين، وقال بعد 15 يوم سيبدا التنفيذ في هذا البرنامج، يعني يكون هناك تعامل وتبادل بيننا. احنا اليوم نطمح المسار التشريعي فيما يخص دراسه القوانين. مثلا لما يتم احاله قانون الى البرلمان الجزائري نشوفوا مثلا الاتفاقيات الدوليه هل يتعارض معها ام لا، القوانين الجزائريه، وهذا يتطلب الزاميا يكون كاين هناك برنامج للذكاء الاصطناعي حتى يسهل لنا العمل التشريعي. وخاصه احنا في الجزائر الحمد لله اراده رئيس المجلس والاداره تاعو فيما يخص رقمنه، وكذلك اراده الدوله بصفه عامه، لانه الجزائر خطات خطوات كبيره من حيث رفع سعه الشبكه الدوليه للانترنت، ايضا في توسيع شبكه الالياف البصريه اللي تجاوز 200,000 كيلومتر كرقم يعني من الالياف البصريه، بالاضافه هدف طموح لربط 6 ملايين اسره بالتدفق العالي جدا. لهذا سؤالي انه نكون يعني عمليين ونستفاد من بعضنا البعض حتى ننقص تكلفه وميزانيه استعمال الذكاء الاصطناعي. هذا يرجع لكم، يعني كان تعطينا اجابه، هذا الشيء راح ينفعنا وينفع كل البرلمانات لتحقيق الهدف من هذا الاجتماع، الا وهو نضج الذكاء الاصطناعي في البرلمانات. وشكرا.
Thank you. The short answer to the question is we have a number of ways of facilitating links between parliaments. And what I'm going to suggest is that we get in touch with you after the webinar and talk about what it is you need and how we might go about doing that. So we will be in touch with you after the webinar. We're going to run out of time here because we've got a lot of questions and not much time left, 5 minutes. So I'm going to go to Jacob Odada. You're next. Can you make this really brief, please, Jacob?
Thank you very much, Andy. As you know, I'm Jacob Borada from the Pan-African Parliament. Mine is just basically a question on governance when it comes to internal adoption of AI as it relates to members of parliament. We notice that they push really much for regulation in terms of AI in the public use and everywhere else. But what is the experience in terms of developing regulation that governs the use of AI as it relates to members of parliament? So that, they, for example, you don't get a situation where they misquote something that they've gotten from ChatGPT during parliamentary debates. Thank you.
Manuel, do you want to take that one?
Okay. Okay, as for legislation on AI, understood. Thank you, Jacob. See you. Nice to see you here. Here in Spain, we are, in Europe, we have the AI Act. It's a legislation on the European Parliament about AI on Europe. But it takes, I don't know if 2 years ago or 1 year and a half, maybe. But now I think Europe is changing the way they are legislating. They are more relaxing the rules because we also want to be competitive. So I think in Spain we have a committee about AI, about the digital transformation and AI, and they are discussing this kind of stuff. Because the initial AI Act was very, very strong, very safe, very secure, but very, very difficult to implement. And I think they are relaxing the rules right now. Here in Spain, I don't know if we have some conclusions of the committee because it's still going on, but we are working on it.
Okay, thank you. I'm going to run out of time very quickly, so I'm just going to summarize a couple of the questions that we won't have time to go into in any detail. One is about who's already starting to work on agentic AI, which is really the next stage of letting AI run loose in the Parliament, if you like. We're not going to have time to talk about that today, unfortunately. I've got another question here about, which is a really interesting one actually, which is, are there any facilitators or fertilizers or multiplication elements which you can apply as a roadmap to grow towards maturity, which I think is a really interesting question. And within that, is there some kind of impact element that you can apply to your standing in the maturity framework? I'm really fascinated by that question, and it's something I'd like to think about. The answer is going to come down to the institution. There may well be within the institution some things and some cultural factors. I really like the idea of innovation as ignition. So using projects within an institution to ignite the fire underneath and heat up the organization. And I guess that's kind of what this is hinting at. I wrote a book about that many years ago, but I still think it's a way to create change, is lighting those fires within the organization. And I like the concept of fertilizer. What is the fertilizer that you put into your cultural thinking? I've got time for one very, very quick question. Mauro Rios from Uruguay, you've had your hand up for a while. Can you ask one very, very quick question? Thank you.
Buenas, voy a disonar y voy a preferir hablar en español, y sobre todo para mis colegas de habla hispana. Disculpas por eso. Uno de los problemas que veo en el modelo es que, por ejemplo, no se menciona nunca seguridad de la información. Si bien se hace hincapié en la seguridad de los datos y si bien se hace hincapié en seguridad de la infraestructura, el concepto de seguridad de la información no está presente. Y es clave, sobre todo hablando de los parlamentos. Debería ameritar un capítulo o una mención específica a lo que es la seguridad de la información. El otro problema que tienen estos modelos, y lo digo con propiedad porque soy uno de los fundadores de la Agencia de Gobierno Electrónico de mi país, soy el inventor de la Agenda Digital Uruguay. Uruguay pertenece al Digital Night, por ejemplo, y hemos presidido varias veces el grupo, o sea que tenemos experiencia en digitalización, a pesar de que en inteligencia artificial, de nuestra estrategia de inteligencia artificial, todavía estamos en pañales, por decirlo de alguna forma. El problema que tienen estos modelos es que los niveles fijados y los indicadores para alcanzar cada nivel no suelen moverse al unísono. Eso quiere decir que cuando uno se desplaza y tiene un indicador en el nivel 0, otro puede estar en el 3 o en el 4 o en el 5. Eso hace muy difícil que a veces se obsesionan los parlamentos por cumplir todos los indicadores de cada uno de los niveles, y eso es imposible. Es imposible porque los indicadores son dinámicos. Mientras uno puede tener de repente un avance rápido en lo que es infraestructura de software, puede tener servidores de hace 20 años, puede no tener el personal capacitado, pero tener buen personal técnico, pero los legisladores están muy atrás en cuanto a formación respecto a la IA. Entonces, este modelo de madurez que es clásico y viene desde los años 90 y nosotros lo utilizamos para el modelo de madurez de gobierno electrónico cuando creamos la Agencia de Gobierno Electrónico aquí en Uruguay, tienen esos problemas. Entonces, muy bien cuando ustedes introdujeron diciendo que había que adaptarlo a las necesidades y a los recursos que tenemos en cada uno de nuestros parlamentos. Y este es uno de las observaciones que por décadas se le hace a este tipo de modelos, por lo cual habría que también tener una consideración de cómo encarar ese problema, porque lo van a tener cuando quieran implementarlo. Es decir, los indicadores no se mueven al unísono, se mueven dinámicamente y es muy difícil determinar en qué nivel uno está. Porque cuando yo digo estoy en el nivel 3, ¿qué indicadores tengo en el nivel 3? Tengo 4 indicadores en el nivel 0, otro indicador en el nivel 2 y otro indicador en el nivel 5. Entonces es muy difícil encajonarme o encasillarme en un nivel particular. Muchas gracias.
Thank you for that. I think that's a very good point to end on. Yes, the problem with any kind of framework is it is a framework. You have to adapt and adopt it to fit. And you also have to recognize that it's a tool for learning. It's not a tool for scoring. It's not a league table. It's an educational tool. And I want to finish today on that point, that this is a tool for you to take away and learn and improve and use it to build your confidence in the processes that you need around AI. We're out of time. I'm going to thank Manuel Pereira from the Senate of Spain and Marieke van Santen from the Senate of the Netherlands. It's been great having both of you along, and I think that's really contributed to the debate. I'm really delighted to be able to share the maturity framework today, and I think it's a really important tool. So I recommend getting along to the IPU website and downloading it and starting to use it. But as Mauro said, don't use it as a rigid tool. Adopt it and think about it flexibly and how you can use it as a learning tool. And that came through really strongly in Manuel's presentation as well. Our next event is Building AI Literacy on the 1st of April. There's nothing significant about that date, I can assure you. The recording from this and all our other Transforming Parliaments webinars are on our webpage, and we'll share the links for that. And when this webinar ends, you will be presented with a very helpful and friendly feedback form, which we would love you to complete because it tells us how we've done and what else you need to know about. So thank you everybody for coming along. My apologies to all of you who asked questions that we didn't get around to answering. We would have needed about another 30 minutes for that, but I've really enjoyed today. So Manuel, Marieke, thank you again for your time. Thank you to my colleagues for all the hard work behind the scenes and the interpreters for their hard work today. Thank you everybody. Have a good rest of the day. It's been really nice to have you with us.